Hey guys, this is Deni as always. With the release of Baldur's Gate 3, many developers have asked not to set the bar too high because they are supposedly not capable of making projects as powerful as this. But I would actually argue because there are those who don't complain, but rather make masterpieces. Last year's Elden Ring, Hogwarts Legacy, Starfield finally tried. Not that successful of course, but more or less. Anyway, my point is that it seems we're in the midst of a new era in the RPG genre, and today I will show you a lot of cool games that we will soon be able to play. Click on the like, click on subscribe if you are not subscribed yet, and actually, let's go! Do you miss adrenaline and dynamic gameplay? The perfect place to get it all? Good old Crossout. Tense battles, dozens of different vehicles, and hundreds of parts for their customization are waiting for you. You can make a powerful, bulletproof tank and destroy your enemies just by the look of it. Or make something smaller, but fast and get in the back of unsuspecting enemies. In any case, Crossout is the best place to show everyone who is a real pro. Download the game at the link in the description. Let's start with the new Assassin's Creed, and Ubisoft's attempt to go back to its roots. Although I actually enjoyed the 3 parts they released last. Well, Valhalla was closer to average, but Odyssey is just a masterpiece to me, and I was a bit even upset that Mirage was supposed to be similar to the previous installments of the series. Because of this, the map in the game was smaller and looks more like the Paris map from Unity. We play as Basim and run around 9th century Baghdad looking for more answers and justice. By the way, the guy was a simple thief initially, and in the game itself, we will gradually become an assassin. This is a plus, because the history of formation is almost always more interesting than to get into the role of a professional, and the game looks as well as all parts of the assassins beautifully. If anyone suddenly doesn't know, this is a rethinking of another Lords of the Fallen, which was released almost 10 years ago. And if the last one was linear, slow, and not straight, well able to copy the key elements of Dark Souls, this part went the way of Elden Ring, brought us an open world, and in addition its own developments, which changed the game just dramatically. To understand you, the game has 2 worlds. One ordinary, on which you walk as always, and the second something like Limbo, which you can see with a special flashlight, or in which you can basically move, and then walk around and fight monsters there. This means that you can find a gigantic number of secrets, hidden passages, and unexpected twists and turns. Add to all this a gloomy and very stylish world, and the combat, which is more like Bloodborne in terms of speed. And this is a legend which after a million years got a sequel. Well, or rather it hasn't gotten one yet, but anyway, it's already being made, there are gameplay videos, and we can already see what the developers have done there. I would call this game the killer of Diablo 4, but it is dying, so here we have just a beautiful RPG from our childhood, and the game brought a lot of beautiful graphene. At least on the screens, it is beautiful, because gameplay is not shown yet. But in the game left the good old opportunity to create a class, combining it from 2 branches of talents. How many of them will be all is not clear yet, but I think that obviously not less than in the previous part. As for the places we will run around, there is information only about ancient Greece. Whether there will be something else, still unknown. But for me, actually Greece is enough. And this is the adventure you probably haven't even heard about. We are waiting for a new open world with amazing graphics. In this game, the gates of the afterlife have opened and the army of the undead has gone free. Our quest is to bring peace back to the world. We play as Norvanik, a warrior of the Alliance army, and Enki, a strange magical creature. You will have to fight a mountain of mobs and bosses, use various weapons and magic, a little sweat from the local combat system, because the game is planned to be complicated. What's funny, you will not race through the open world in 2. Here you can recruit allies and smash the faces of enemies together. If there is a desire to plunge into a more familiar maximum fantasy world, Obsidian has a new adventure for us here. It is called Avowed. The action unfolds in the world of Yora, and if you have played Pillars of Eternity, you know what we are talking about. It's exactly where you ran in Pillars. You arrive to investigate rumors of a plague epidemic. Gradually you realize that you have something to do with these lands and that you are drawn here for a reason. Gameplay is a true first-person role-playing game. Use swords, spells, or even firearms, and in any combination, and on top of that, it can all be combined. Freeze your opponent and then smash him with an axe. Write in the grimoire a suitable spell to trap the enemy and stab him with a shiv. In general, it will be fun. Well, and visually quite not bad. I hope Obsidian will make everything cool. And this is Ashfall, in which local Skynet from Terminator rebelled and almost destroyed all mankind. But you've survived in the bunker, thank goodness, and now, like you're in Fallout, you need to leave the sanctuary and find the core of creation, the key to saving the world. You can do all this not in solo, but together with other players because the game is online, and it will be possible to race with friends. Naturally, you are waiting for a huge number of different locations, dungeons, enemies, and all this research. Giant worms marching slender rows, inaccessible shelters, and snowy plains inhabited by mutants. Anyway, we've got a lot of gas. By the way, we will not go away from pumping because it is necessary, and in addition will allow you to develop on all fronts. Naturally, there is a lot of different equipment, but of the really attractive is the ability to tame their own riding animals, or robots to create under the control of AI. In short, the game is stuffed with a lot of stuff, so we are definitely waiting for it. If post-apocalypse is not suitable for you, and you want more of the usual fantasy world, then relatively soon a beautiful open world will be able to boast Crimson Desert, a new creation of Pearl Abyss which seems to have wanted to make something single player for a long time. Well, at least because in Black Desert they really like to add all kinds of story stuff. That's why in this game, they had fun as much as possible. The number of different activities here is just off the charts, from the same taming of horses to battles and flights from a huge mountain. Here you have the opportunity to pet seals and fight with huge dragons. In general, here is a real treasure. Its main thing to wait. And here is more of a MMORPG, and not just a RPG. By the way, the video about the new era of MMORPG I also did not so long ago, and they're collected for you. Just a huge POC of all the latest that in the next couple of years will be released. If you like this genre, I recommend you to look. About the game itself, you are waiting for a standard MMORP, with a combat system very similar to the conventional Dark Souls with non-target system. Naturally, there are different activities with dungeons and even different factions, which you can join and fight for them or against them. In addition, the game has one feature. It is a chrono clock, which allows you to spin time back and forth. How it will be realized in MMORPG is not clear yet, but in any case, we can note that the game looks like it is necessary to try to play it. Naturally, we need to say a few words about the new game in the Masquerade series, Bloodlines 2. The previous part was released 3 billion years ago, and dinosaurs were still playing it. If that was you, don't be angry. Not old, but wise, so to speak. So here we go again. As it should be, you're a monster. At night, hunt down the townsfolk, lure them into dark alleys with superpowers or simple persuasion, and satisfy your hunger. But remember the Masquerade. Don't reveal your identity or you'll get in trouble with the police. And don't forget, you are far from the only monster in this city. There will be a vampire clan struggle. You can join one of them, by the way, by your choice and sink for him. All this will be tucked into the excellent graphics. Her good we have already seen, and to the release in 24th, it will still doppelate. All in all, I'm waiting like the 6th Scrolls. It looks amazing. And here before you is a long construction. But it's not surprising because there are only 5 developers and they are working on their Monkey King very slowly. They even managed to redraw it twice so that it looked cooler, but given what in the game graphics and combat, look their efforts worthy. By the way, our furry friend can not only beat on the face with a stick, but also quite successfully uses various spells, transformations, and magic vessels uses. Naturally, in the game brought a sufficient note of plot, and all imbued with the spirit of Chinese myths. It feels cool even by trailers. We just have to wait for it to come out. It's coming out in 24 too, by the way, someday. Well, how many delicious things were shown to us in the new Diablo killer? It's just tasteless. And now we're talking about a full-fledged killer, Path of Exile 2. Years after the events of the original Path of Exile, you will return to the gloomy world of Reckless and will once again look for a way to put an end to the growing corruption, naturally choosing one of several characters and endlessly pumping it up. Visually, the game looks a bit slower than Diablo 4, and it's more of a plus than a minus because in Diablo, I just like crazy flew through the story in a couple of days and I got bored. Here it feels like the game is slower and you'll have more time to get into the atmosphere. The game will have a brand new campaign of 6 acts, 100 different areas, 600 types of monsters, and 100 bosses. All in all, we are definitely waiting for this thing. By the way, the ZBT of the game will be June 7th, and on the official website you can already leave an application. Well, that's all for today. I hope you found something interesting for yourself and therefore clicked on the like and subscribe too. Well, with you was, as always, Deni, and have a nice day.